UKLC is presented by Barclays and Curry's PC World.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the UKLC. Bulldog had a pretty dominant game in game one of our best of three here versus Viperio. And Viperio need to fight back in this game because if they lose here, they are out of the runnings in the qualifiers and they will not make it to the UKLC. Bulldog are one win away from punching their ticket into one of our two remaining spots in the league. So without that, let's get going into this game. Orcs, what do Viperio need to change up?
I think it starts from the draft. I think they put themselves into a corner with it. I think realistically, they have to get the Cogmore ahead. The Talia and the TF needed to be able to consistently make pressure down in the bot lane. And not only do I not like compositions that are very one-dimensional, like you only have one lane to play around. It's better than having no lanes, but even so, it felt very much like they had a telegraphed game plan. And when they couldn't execute on it, they kind of just fell apart. They had no answer to the Lulu Jinx. So I think starting off, I actually felt like they had a good plan. You know, they weren't banning all these power picks away. They were on the red side. They were forcing out the Lucian and the Bard ban. So I was like, they're going to get a ton of power picks here. But instead, they ended up giving over the enemy team. Enemy team goes, set Syndra Trundle in the first rotation. That is not good to play up against. Those are three extremely powerful picks in the current meta. And considering they had to ban away Lucian and Bard themselves, you should have had a really strong first rotation. Picking Ornn when the enemy can take Trundle, not a great plan. Picking Talia when there's stronger champions available, again, not the greatest plan. And it ended up just backfiring massively. And then the big sort of headache for me was the Braum blind pick. Especially if your intention is to go the Cogmore, you don't need to pick your support there. I feel like you potentially could have saved it. You could have gone the Lulu on the fourth pick and then potentially gone Cogmore fifth pick. There were options in that situation, but as soon as you blind the Braum, you're kind of just giving the enemy team a free pass on terms of what they want to take in their support role.
Well, we are now into the picks of bans. Trundle and the Bard have both been banned away so far. There's the Lucian. The teams have remained on the same side, so Bulldogs still are on the blue side. Red side is going to be Viperio. Viperio now looking to see what they're going to ban away. Because last game, we had 8 AD carry bans, 9 marksmen in total taken away from the game. We'll have to see what the adaptation will be here for Viperio. Where are their attentions going to go? Do they want to ban away the Syndra and not give it over? Or are they not really that worried about that and feel like something else could be a major issue? That's the Aphelios banned away. Pretty standard. We saw that earlier today.
First and foremost, we saw the Trundle. That's a significant difference here. So denying that one does up the value of picking the Ornn early, but it's still potentially a blind pick for the side of Bulldog if they want to take it on first rotation. So Lucian, Bard, we expect to see those banned away sort of in every situation. Graves now banned away on the blue side. Last time it was on red. I'm expecting a Varus ban in this situation coming out from the side of Viperio. Not too many surprises, and then it could just be the Syndra first pick, or with the Trundle banned away, you could lean into the Ornn. I do think that Viperio should take the Ornn here. So Syndra taken, I think that's fine. You take the Ornn without the Trundle, and now this second pick is where I think you should change it. I don't think the Talia is worth this much priority with so many powerful champions available.
Looks like they're going to go for the set this time, so that's nice because the Ornn and the set can both be flexed around quite a lot. You can put the Ornn in the bot lane or in the top lane. The set can go mid, bot, or top. He's a super flexible champion. So not really showing too much, but also getting some power picks away and out of the hand of Bulldog. Now, Bulldog, where do their attentions want to go? What do they want to pick up here? I'll have to see what they're going to lock in.
So potentially a top lane answer to either of these or a jungler is pretty good. I like the Jarvan. I think it's pretty solid in this situation, especially with Trundle off the cards. It does give you priority in sort of that jungle pickup. Unless, it could be a set jungle as well, but we'll see what is going to be the answer coming out from Viperio because it puts pressure on them. A Senna third pick is pretty desirable because it pairs up well with the set in the support role, but they do go for the Senna, then the jungler is going to fall to the second rotation. It's going to get banned away heavily. I really like the Gangplank, especially in tandem with the Jarvan. If you pick something immobile, you're just going to consistently take damage from the Cannon Barrage. So nice first rotation from Bulldog. Not as strong as the game one rotation, but I think so far Viperio have evened up the draft more. The big thing is going to be this third pick, and they're going for the Camille. So bit of an interesting one to me.
There's 3 top laners technically picked there, but obviously all fairly flexible.
And people say top lane's an underpowered role, you know? We'll have to see how this one pans out. They could put this in the top lane as something that could challenge the Gangplank in the later stages of the game in the side lane. It does kind of put some limitations on Set and Ornn's flexibility, though. But we'll have to see how things play out. I was happy with the Ornn Set pickup. Camille, not as convinced on, but we will see. Thresh now going to be taken off the cards initially. Less AD carry bans so far, but we could see more come in now. Neither team has picked up an AD carry, but support also open as well. Callisto going to be taken off the cards. Ezreal still open and available. Xayah, which you saw banned away in the last game as well.
And technically, remember that Syndra can also still go to bot lane. You can put the Gangplank mid or top. Most likely top lane, where we mostly see Gangplanks nowadays. There's the Senna ban actually getting taken away from the side of Viperio. And the final ban is going to be the Ezreal. Now it's time to kind of round this compound. What do they want to pick up? The Xayah is going to be picked up for Kaz and the AD carry. And now we're going to find out who is going where. We kind of expect this to be a AD carry and a support pick here for Jacob and Girish, but we'll have to see.
I mean, definitely think it's going to be AD carry and support coming out from
Syndra
Bulldog.
could technically go bot lane, right?
True,
and then you
yeah.
pick a different mid laner.
I don't think that you're necessarily going to take it in this situation. I think Jacob is the more player to lean towards the AD carry. So you are right. It could, in theory, be a bot lane Syndra. We'll have to see.
That's the Morgana for the moment. Definitely really thinking about what their plan is, where they want to go, what they want to put down where.
They could just take a Caitlyn in this situation, in all honesty. I mean, I think the
carries
Morgana
have been banned away. Morgana Kate's quite nice.
I think Morgana is just generally stronger to what the enemy team offers. There's a lot of CC coming out from them. The Morgana is going to cut that down pretty heavily. Actually, going to go the Sivir instead for Jacob. This is something he just like to lean on. It's going to give a lot of engage power to the team and a lot of facilitation. Not the greatest matchup into the Xayah, though, as you don't block all the feathers when it gets pulled back, only a limited amount. And this Talia does make more sense here because it's a later pick in the rotation. I didn't like it early because you're trading up for power picks, but it's clearly something that they're comfortable on. And critically, it gives them some AP damage, which they didn't really have before.
So I think it's Ornn mid. Yeah, so that's everything's kind of falling into place. So Ornn will go mid lane. As soon as he can build the Abyssal Mask fairly effectively to deal with Thomas. It's going to be the Set Xayah bot lane. So Orcs, talk to me about this bot lane. How does Set and Xayah kind of work up? And what's the synergy? What's the game plan for this? We've seen it with the Senna yesterday where he farmed, but this time he is purely a support. What is Penta got to do here?
Yeah, so here it's essentially you land one bit of CC, you land the next bit of CC, and the enemies are just going to get absolutely crushed. The critical thing is that they have the Black Shield, but you can land the CC on multiple people, so if you get a good face break onto 2, it's really effective, especially off the back of a Hex Flash, or if you burn the Black Shield, then you can very effectively layer some CC and have a lot of kill pressure. This is a very high kill pressure lane. Unfortunately, against Sivir Morgana, this is very much a neutralizing lane, so not convinced I'll necessarily be able to find it, but they should at least have the tools to potentially look for it. Mid lane, Ornn and Syndra, it's pretty hard for the Syndra to cut through the Ornn, and Ornn actually does have decent wave clear for sort of a melee champion, but Syndra should, as long as their mana pool sustains, be able to find priority there. The Camille's the interesting one. I know that Zuki is a player who will look to challenge in the top lane. Typically, Kara is more of the sort of weak side player, but I have seen Johnny Recco play around Zuki and facilitate him, so it gives that as a potential win condition. And what I do like here is there's a bit more versatility in what Johnny Recco can do. There's CC set up in the mid lane, there's a top laner who's going to scale well into a split push role, and there's also a bot lane with a lot of CC set up, and you can use your own AP damage to pop the Black Shield. I think the critical thing is that there's more tools here for Viperio. Now, I'm not completely convinced by that draft, but I think it's much better, and the disparity isn't as big as last game. So, more tools, but I think Bulldog have still come out pretty strong in this situation. My only real concern is potentially the Sivir to Xayah matchup isn't super favorable in the laning phase, but the Morgana, as long as Girish is playing well, should bridge that gap.
And remember, for Bulldog, a win here means they qualify back into the UKLC. It's been a year and a half since they've been there. And for Viperio, a loss here is them out of the qualifiers. And unfortunately, it's kind of GG go next, and we'll see better luck next time for them. So they really have to fight with everything they got to get this win here. You know Bulldog aren't going to give it up easy. Jacob just had a fantastic game on the Jinx, completely untouchable. This time there's not quite as much kind of like empowerment here, but there's a lot of spell shields. There's a lot of CC negation between this Morgana Sivir lane. There's a lot of damage to back it up when you've got the frontline Jarvan with a gangplank with him. So I'm really curious to see how this game's going to break out here, because I think we could have some really, really scrappy team fights, and it could be just a really exciting game. Yeah,
absolutely. I think, again, just a more balanced one means that it's going to come down to execution. And it's also come down to heavily about the junglers and the early facilitation. Jenksas on this Jarvan now, again, like the Trundle, he's going to be able to start making an impact early. So I'm going to be very much watching him and see what he can achieve. If Johnny Recco, though, finds a counter gank, it can be very punishing. The damage is really significant in the early game from the Tilia, especially if Jarvan ends up dashing into the unrivaled earth, or if you seismic shove him into it, you can just burst through him pretty quickly. I think as well as some big spikes that are going to come in when the Ornn starts getting the items, that'll be pretty significant. I do feel like going towards sort of the later stages, the end of the game, the composition of Bulldog just outscale to an extent.
I mean, the 400 CS Sivir, right?
Yeah, I don't think it's major, though. I don't think it's super significant. I think the big concern for me is the Camille. If Camille just ends up becoming Monster, that can be a real powerful tool. But again, Gangplank doesn't exactly fall off by any means. He is strong, especially if you can land consistent barrels in team fights. The only real concern for me is the side lane from this Camille, and also if you can get on top of Jacob in team fights.
Yeah, we need to be tracking the kind of scaling aspects in this game, but early it's all about the jungle. That's where our attention is going to be. We want to track their path, and we want to track what they're looking to do, because one of the things we talked about yesterday was the shift in the jungle. It's about, obviously, it's always been about efficiently farming / ganking, but it feels like with the changes now, farming is definitely something that is more prioritized than it was maybe at the beginning of the year, where people were kind of just playing to gank lanes constantly. Jarvan's great at ganking early. You can even get this kind of cheesy level 2 ganks off of the QE combo. So we'll have to see how that's going to break out as we are loading through into our second game of this match here. Bulldog are 1 away from qualifying to the UK League Championship.
Welcome to Summoner's Rift.
Once again, a big group up here, but on the opposite side of the map coming out.
Not as many tools.
Braum this time, though.
Yeah, not as many tools to sort of start this level 1. They're going to go for this, the Camille hook shot. That is actually a really powerful tool that potentially could have found something, but Kareth plays it safe, doesn't get caught out, and it means they're going to be able to push in on this blue side, get some vision down if needed.
Ward gets placed down fairly late by Zuki, so hopefully for him it will allow him some ability to track some of this jungle rotation. They should know that Janaxis is going to be starting up on the red side. But Johnny also starting up on the top side himself. There is a ward that has been placed down, so they're at least aware of this going on. Well, there will be shortly. Slices Yikes is actually placing a ward down as well, just at the opening by the river from red side.
Trade-off of information in the early game, which I think is important, and I do feel like favors Viperio. Jarvan is super dangerous as early as level 2, so that's something you have to be concerned about. So knowing where he starts is important, and also knowing if he's going to invade or not. They don't have the dragon pit covered because he can flag over there, but with the blue already being taken, I don't think he's super concerned about that one. Actually seeing warning pings comes out, so Jenksas went straight towards top lane and was actually spotted on a control ward in the river.
So I was talking
Zuki's
about
aware.
that level 2 cheese gang. Zuki does have the hook shot, and he's gonna actually turn it back around onto Janaxis and just chunk him out. Complete confidence on that.
So he does make things a little bit more difficult for Zuki because Zuki's now zoned off some CS, but the wave's pushing in. It's not a concern. And look at the path that came out from Jenksas there. So he went red all the way to top lane. He hasn't done his Raptors, hasn't done his Krugs. He's only just now starting on his blue. That gank cost him so much in terms of jungle efficiency. He is actually going to be quite a bit far behind compared to Johnny Recco. He's going to take a bit to catch up in return. Johnny Recco now just clearing his 3rd camp and hits that level 3 mark. So not completely convinced by that one coming out from Jenksas. I know there is the sort of burden to try and look for the level 2 play, but you already knew that Camille had the hook shot. You saw that on the level 1 play. It was a very low percentage chance of working out. And he's now actually looking again towards the top lane. He is very focused on trying to make this gank work.
Yeah, remember, Zuki didn't burn a single summoner spell. He just hook shot to escape. Actually does look to turn something onto Kira here. It's a nice trade-off momentarily, but the power of the trial by fire just means Zuki will get chunked out. But Johnny Echo now, he's the one moving over towards this side of the map. Will get spotted out on a ward, as Kira does get a bit of movement speed off from the trial by fire. They're looking for that threaded volley, looking for that opening, trying to get the unraveled earth down for the slow. Now that's going to be the flash, as Zuki can go in for the hook shot. First blood gets picked up by Zuki as the flag and drag will connect and get the interrupt there. You can see the teleport was cancelled out, and now Johnny trying to put some space between him and Gen Access. Zuki, can he secure the kill? He saves his jungler. 2-0 top lane.
Oh, and just so good from Sykes. Oh, Thomas Go in trouble.
Penta with a flash forward, and Kaz slides in, gets the feather down, secures the kill. Fantastic play. We might not be done here yet. It looks like Zuki will chill out. Doesn't want to overcommit anymore.
As a blue buff now, not super significant for the Camille, but overall, just a great turn of play going in favor of Viperio. The TP from Thomas Go could have been so bad for them, but Sykes made sure that he cancelled that one. Actually, a little bit tricky to do on the Ornn, because it's not like you can just use one ability to cancel the TP. You have to throw down the pillar and then dash into it. So Thomas Go potentially in a bit of a poor TP position before that play. But the end result is they get 2 kills bot lane. Jenks is just unable to find Johnny Recco. And then a great roam up from Kaz and Penta. And if you look where the wave is, they had priority. So they roamed up. In return, Jacob and Girish shoved the wave in. But Kaz didn't miss any CS in that situation. So really favorable. Now looking for Kara with no flash.
Yeah, they're going in again. They do miss out on that hook shot this time. Kara gets slowed down momentarily by the Unraveled Earth, and they're just continuing to hit away at him. Threaded Volley's going to get blocked up by the minion wave, and Zuki with a triumph here will save his life. 3-0 on the Camille now. This could be a problem.
Some good moves there from Kara to dodge away from all those skill shots, but ultimately still ends up going down. The Camille being 3-0 is super scary already. This champion is going to be a threat in the side lane. This champion scales incredibly well. It's already going to become a problem if you're this far ahead right now. And in return, we're going to see the dragon taken by Bulldog, but it's not very good in terms of a consolation prize.
So far, just really, really good play coming through from Viperio. They are here to show us why they were the first seed out of Group A, how and why they beat London. Bot lane's been relatively quiet. A lot of attention's been thrown down towards the top lane. Kira, 39 CS. He is still CSing fairly effectively on this gangplank with his damage from his Q. Well, from the passive from the Q and the Cull. He's actually getting quite a lot of extra bonus money. But Zuki, even so, still feeling very, very strong in this lane on the Camille.
I mean, 3-0 this early at 6 minutes is just really quite insane. Down in farm, largely due to the amount of fighting and also that early gank, which although wasn't significant, did zone him off quite a bit of CS, but you're still quite a bit ahead in gold. Just need to catch up in terms of farm. For now, bot lane, not too interactive. I think 3-6. Jacob and Girish will just shove you in. But there will come a point where Kaz and Penta, once that ultimates are available, are pretty strong and all in. So I have to be a little bit careful around that one, because an overzealous Black Shield, potentially like that one, can be costly. Now, pre-6, I don't think it's as threatening, but you do that after level 6, and Penta can just engage.
Yeah, that Hex Flash is still up for Penta. So he's going to use it just to get forward a little bit. Or sideways in this case. Now, also got a question for you. For this set support, why is it we see Omnistone as the rune? Why do we see that instead of, you know, maybe just the standard Conqueror or Electrocute?
I mean, oh, wait,
Might
gank
hold
here.
that. Do you get the pillar down? They got the Black Shield on. That's the cannon barrage, and that is one dead AD carry. Johnny's making his way over. They're trying to get some kind of damage off, but a great Cataclysm will pick them off. Zuki slides in to make sure he does secure at least one in response as Jacob flashes forward and secures himself a kill. Great turnaround there. Now Sykes' Yikes finds himself the knock up the Call of the Forge God, flashes away from the binding, and might have to be a little bit careful himself. Don't really have too much damage to cut him down though.
Yeah, a bit of a spectator bug on that boomerang blade from Jacob. It went invisible for a second there, but did manage to connect that one on Johnny Recco on the return. Ultimately, good gang setup coming out from Bulldog. utilizing the cannon barrage and also the great flash binding from Girish. Kaz nearly had enough damage to take out Jacob, but not quite. And Penta not using the ignite on the Sivir, actually pretty significant there. But overall, good play. Bulldog getting themselves back in the game, but still end up losing one member in return. The critical thing is the fact that Zuki ended up TPing. Not as significant because you can see, well, actually another engage coming in.
Yeah, still held that spell shield for the moment. They've got that flag and drag to save his life, but Jacob will fool Kaz to secure the kill there. The Nexus has to be a little careful as well. He's got Girish at his back, and now Girish is the one who might be in a bit of a dangerous situation. The Nexus really finds himself between a rock and a hard space here. They do get themselves a 2-man scout of the week, but that is going to be the end of the jungler. And all of a sudden, Viperio just starting to find these fights, find these kills. As Johnny looking for Girish here. Girish has to dodge away from everything. So he continues to tank tower shots. They do finally find that kill. And that was just really scrappy.
Yeah, it's just... I'm not quite sure what's happening. Bulldog are just kind of running it into Viperio, not giving them respect. The bot lane had already rotated topside, and they just sort of chain died in that situation. Really questionable, and I was just praising them for their bot lane play, and they've kind of just thrown it back completely in return. Yeah, now looking to set up on the Herald, but I think Jenxas might face check again.
What is he doing? He's just walking into them consistently. Jenxas able to flag and drag to safety this time, but the flash comes out by Johnny. He misses all the unraveled earth. They find a binding in response, but no one's there to save him.
9 HP Jenxas was on. A little bit misplayed in all honesty. The ult from Penta was actually used at the same time as the seismic shove from Johnny Recco. I understand he wanted to block him up so that he didn't have a chance to flag and drag away, but ended up giving him a little room to get away, and it was only just, but it was enough. They will take the Herald, however. And I'm thinking now there might be enough time to answer your question finally.
Yeah, let's go for it.
So initially when Set started getting played support, it was typically the Aftershock, as you see from most sort of melee CC supports. But it quickly moved to Omni Stone. And the reason being is because Set doesn't really need Aftershock with his W, the Haymaker. You're already strong enough. And the reason Omni Stone is so good has nothing to do with Omni Stone itself. It's all to do with the secondary runes. So the critical ones are Nimbus Cloak and Hex Flash. Those two in conjunction give something very, very valuable to Set, and that's a gap closer. Because the one issue with Set is that he is so strong when he gets to melee range of someone, but until he does, he's just running towards them. So having Hex Flash and Nimbus Cloak means that in the bot lane or in any other situation, you can just stand in a brush, channel the Hex Flash, you get the Nimbus Cloak movement speed, and then you can try and run them down and land your Face Breaker. And that is why those two secondary runes work so well in conjunction. Omni Stone isn't actually as valuable as other keystones for Set. It does give you some nice options, like Predator's nice, and sometimes some of the damage runes are good, but ultimately it is for the secondary runes, and Omni Stone's just the best option out of those alternatives.
And there you have it. That's why we keep seeing it. Now, we do keep seeing it. Oh, engage actually in the bot lane. Kaz is able to get away. Takes a lot of damage in response. We do keep seeing that Jacob's boomerang blades are invisible. That's not the case in game. That's purely for the spectators. So if you're wondering what's going on, they can see the boomerang blades. Some of them are just choosing not to dodge it.
Yep. I've had that before when I was playing Ziggs a lot. It was like, it was so annoying because it's like 1 in every 6 of my bouncing bombs were invisible. This was in game, and I'm not sure if it was just for me, but I was trying to point out, because I streamed my point of view, and I was trying to point out, and I'd be like, okay, watch this. And then I'd do it, and it would be visible. And then when they got sick of like waiting for it to show up, then it'd be invisible. It was really
always how it is.
Yeah, always how it is.
It's that flag and drag to try and zone them off from getting that turret, but they do get a lot of plates. Kaz is starting to get some gold injected into him here on this side. I say starting, he's 3-1. Though he's equal to his counterpart, Jacob, who was kind of one of the key players in that first win of the day for the side of Bulldog.
Yeah, Jacob was getting a lot of gold from those top lane plates, and honestly, the gold's fairly even. There's some decent differences across the board. I think mid 80 carry and top all got about 600 around that area. Jungle is a significant one though. Johnny Recco pretty far ahead. And on a carry jungler like Talia, that is really significant. Gives you a lot of burst damage, and especially if Jarvan is a little bit squishier behind in gold and he tries to dash in, the Talia can just absolutely pop him.
Well, 13 minutes on the clock. You can see the item breakpoints that are starting to get hit across the board. Zuki has his Triforce. The Essence Reaver building towards the Infinity Edge for Kaz. A lot of components for Sykes' Yikes, but that's kind of how Ornn's build early. He's pretty much there with the Abyssal Mask and got himself the Sunfire also kind of being started up at the same time. Looks like for now, though, they are shifting their attention towards this top side of the map. They want to see if they can make some kind of a play go down. Janaxis has been spotted out on a ward, so they know that the junglers are about. Sykes' Yikes is hiding in a blind spot as Hyam Jacob has to black shield away from the feathers and loses a fair amount of health there.
Yeah, both AD carries get chunked out a bit. You can see all of Viperio sort of posturing towards his tower.
That Cannon Barrage is coming up soon. The Weaver's Wall's going to get used. They're going to try and catch Jacob off, but Jacob able to put the distance out. They throw them into Cataclysm for the moment. Thomas gets stunned over the wall, and Jacob continues to ricochet around everybody within that fight. That's going to be a big old ultimate by Kaz to make sure he's alive. Zuki hook shots over the wall. Gen Access is running away. The shutdown is picked up onto one already as they continue to try and chunk them down, but a massive team fight win there for Viperio. Bulldog just get annihilated.
Yeah, just huge misplay coming out there. I think the biggest thing for me was Thomas Go. Beautiful positioning on the flank, but then ends up using the ult onto the Xayah. Xayah just pops the Feather Storm. You don't get any real value from it. And they will be able to save that tower with the use of the Cannon Barrage, but didn't have that one available in the team fight. Well, didn't make use of it at least, is a pretty big downside to that situation, because that's pretty much why you pick the Gangplank, is to make use of that.
It did feel a bit of an odd one, actually, not using that ulti. Because it came up just as the dive started. And so you can see the gold, 800 gold lead difference in the top lane. It's 1100 in the jungle. Mid has a discrepancy. It's also pretty big itself. Just everywhere across the board, they're up.
Across the board, yeah, Viperio is just ahead. And this is going to spike really hard when Ornn starts handing out his items, because that gives a lot of like hidden gold value as well. And I think that's the point where we're going to see a massive gap between these teams open up, especially if you can start picking up some of these dragons, lead towards the Baron. You could definitely see Viperio running away with the game at that point. Obviously, we've talked about Sivir getting a ton of CS in the pocket, that becoming a big win condition. The Morgana later on is going to be really significant because she is building some AP. The Black Shield's going to be more relevant. But for now, I really do look to see things in favor of Viperio, especially with Camille being so strong. That's always going to be a sort of headache at later stages of the game.
That's going to be the Ocean Drake getting picked up here for the side of Viperio. The response on the other side of the map is the Rift Arrow, but Sykes' Yikes is moving over, spotted out by the Spooky Ghost. Same for Zuki. That might just be enough to send them packing. Bulldog not feeling it. Don't really want to step up.
I don't blame him. In honesty, it was sort of one of those plays where you start it up, you go for the sort of Herald Rush to see if it'll work, but realistically not necessarily going to. Now, seeing Kara on the edge of the Ornn Horn.
Yeah, he is going to flash away from it. Does just about live. Zuki got to pin him in place, and that should just be the Rift Herald picked up in response as the prize here for the side of Viperio. Looks like Bulldog going to just kind of answer out and take this mid lane tier 1, or at least attempt to get some damage down, because Sykes' Yikes and Kaz are moving over. Rift Herald continues to get chipped away out. It's got 1,000 health. Johnny should be able to pick this one up.
You know that ult coming out from Sykes there? That was a range indicator ult. You could tell because he was like right on the edge of hitting Kara, but Kara might be caught out here.
Yeah, Kara just continuing to overstay in this lane. Knew his team wasn't about, but just gets himself caught out. 0-4 in the Gangplank. Not a solid showing for him right now.
Yeah, and this is looking really rough on the weak side for Bulldog, because you now got a 0-4 Gangplank, someone who you want to just sort of withstand pressure, be an asset in the later stages as he farms up, and have that ultimate to assist. He's just consistently going down right now, and it's really becoming a bit of a headache for the rest of the team. And Viperio now 5,000 gold in the lead. They're dragging up. They're going to take this tower here and throwing down the Herald mid. They're looking really convincing in this game.
Looks like they want that fight. Kaz is going to have to flash out of the Cataclysm. They take the turret.
Oh,
They
flank
get the
coming
flash
in.
off the AD carry, but the collapse is coming in. Penta wants to look for it. Pop that Predator, but he's not going to find it.
Yeah, they're to threaten, but ultimately they still get 2 towers in that situation. That's still very favorable towards the side of Viperio. Flashbang from Kaz may end up being significant, but ultimately the reward does go into their pockets. Game should slow down a little bit here. Dragon not available. Baron not really on the cards right now. And with all the outer towers down, it's a little bit tricky to take the rest. They should be looking to move the Camille into the bot lane once her TP is available. And then she can just be a consistent split push threat as they sort of play towards the Baron.
So the resets are just going to come through. Cash should be pretty close to this Infinity Edge, if not have it finished up now.
Zuki just stealing it away the Grom. Taking everything. 1800
Kara's having a
up from the
very,
Grom
very
point.
rough game right now.
And it's not as bad for Bulldog because they still have that 1-0 lead in the series. So even if they lose this game, they are going to be okay, but gives them momentum to the side of Viperio. And I think, if anything, this game illustrates how close it is between these two. We saw game 1 going in favor of Bulldog. They had the draft advantage. Game 2, though, I feel like a lot more tools to match coming out from the side of Viperio and delivering pretty solidly on it so far.
Oh, well, the Baron's spawning up soon. Looks like the vision has all been shifted over here by the side of Viperio. They've got that Infinity Edge for now finished up onto Kaz. He is feeling exceptionally strong, and those upgrades as well will start to come through from Sykes' Yikes. Meaning that Molten Edge might be quick to follow. That's just a massive spike in power for Kaz at that point.
Absolutely is. Oh, finding and a connect, but not too much to come from it. Yeah, so this is where we're going to start again towards the big item spikes. As you said, handing out the own items. Sykes need to be level 14, but already he's got his 2 upgrades, which is just like a massive influx of gold. Last game, when Zuki was playing the Ornn, we never actually got to the point where he had 2 Ornn items. Instead, went for the Bramble Vest to cut down the healing. So having that gold difference, really, even on a tank, it's super significant because the Ornn is going to feel unkillable. And they're just starting up the Baron. No one's anywhere near. This is a great play. I don't think they can make it in time.
They've spotted it out at the least, so they know it's going on, but I don't know if they're going to get there in time. They popped the Sivir ultimate, and actually the health bars are a little low. The Weaver's Wall's been used. They find the root. They find the knockup. Here comes the team fight. Penta launches in. Kaz is on a rampage, though. He's already taken him out. Kira gets the barrels off on the backline. The Feather Sword's been used, but Kaz is inside the Cataclysm. A shutdown for Kira on the gangplank as he's looking for Zuki. Zuki finds himself a double kill. The barrels have been placed. Kira needs to find some more, but he can't quite find the damage to stick in there. Genexus has to flash away, and they look to continue to chase on the Kira. Zuki will take him down. The Baron is stopped, but the team fight is won by the side of Viperio.
So much value from the cannon barrage there, and that is why that tool is so great against Baron attempts. Chunked them out. Johnny Recco gets hit by a binding and then nearly gets killed. And Girish did a monstrous amount of work there, getting a huge ultimate as well. But ultimately, I've got to give a massive oof award to Jacob. Had the black shield on him, runs forward into melee range of the Camille and just gets one shot by the second activation of the Precision Protocol. And just, yeah, not quite sure what Jacob was doing there. Because if you looked at how close that fight was, a little bit more damage and Zuki would have gone down, likely Penta as well. Suboptimal positioning from Jacob, who I praised so much last game. Really dropped the ball there. And third dragon now going in favor of the side of Viperio. You get an Ocean Soul on this team and the game is over. Ornn will become unkillable. Zuki, who already looks very hard to take down there, will become invincible. Now got given the upgrade for that Triforce as Sykes
Got the Trinity Fusion now.
Did you see what happened to Jacob in that last fight?
Honestly, I missed it. I just saw the shutdown come up and I was like, oh,
I
dead.
was just watching him run in, just super hyped with the black shield. And then it's just like, he was like 70% HP, just instantly died. It was like Kaz, I think, Blade called him and he got hit by the true damage from Camille. It was tragic. But I think
At
that
least
was
the
a
key
big
thing there
difference
was
maker.
Kira got 2 shutdowns and fairly big shutdowns as well. So the Gangplank's now starting to feel a little bit more relevant, a little bit more in it. I do still worry that Zuki is 7-0. That is 1,000 gold shutdown if they can kill him.
Big if.
It is a big if. They still got this cannon barrage though, so if there's an attempt at the Baron, Zuki will have to teleport in and Kira could start helping the fight before it breaks out, providing he doesn't get killed in the side lane. So actually it looks like they find him binding onto the support here. 2-man Cataclysm. As Kaz is actually caught out, they do look to try and turn some damage onto one, so they change Jungler for support there. And now the Weaver's Wool, Girish is almost caught out, but Weaver's Wool will save his life in the end.
Yeah, ends up actually blocking for him. Zuki TPing in, actually really significant. This is a massive win for the side of Bulldog. Even with this tower going down, you take that. Being in the TP from the Camille is very significant because she is such a menace in the side lane. Jengsas with a spawn before anything significant happens. You're still so far behind though. Just under 8,000.
Take every little thing you can get. Kira just stacking up the wave. Has to be careful here. He's kind of playing on fire a little bit. Missing the cannon as well.
That's unfortunate. The pressure's on.
Feeling the pressure.
Remember, winner of this series into the UKLC from the summer split. Viperio 0-1 here. If they lose this one, they're just out.
There is some fight still coming through from Bulldog, though. They're showing us that they are not out of this yet. But I feel like they still need a little bit more time, and Viperio aren't really giving that over to Bulldog right at this moment. Looks like Jacob might be building towards a QSS as his next item.
Nag on the death stance. Pretty nice on Sever because you can get the healing from the ricochets. So one of the significant things here with mid and top tier 2 down for Bulldog, it's very hard to actually move up and ward. Because you got to think of like your last tower is that mid or top lane inhibitor tower. And then you kind of like open ground all the way up towards the river. So right now they have vision established. But coming out of that base, we could potentially see vision. As you can see, Penta's moving around, starting to clear out some vision. And if they push the vision line back towards the edge of that blue side jungle, it means you have such a long distance to sort of travel through to get to the Baron. By that time, the Baron could be gone. Alternatively, they could be waiting in a brush and engage on you. It just makes it very difficult. But for now, the main priority is going to be moving towards that dragon. 50 seconds on the spawn. This is Ocean Soul. And I'm just going to call it, this is a win for Viperio if they can get this one. Ocean Soul, so powerful, especially with a composition like this where you have a tank like Ornn. He will just become absolutely invincible. The Camille as well, starting to build Asterix, will be extremely hard to cut through.
Zuki's had to move over, knowing that his teleport is down. The wards are going to get cleared out here. Slowly but surely from the members. So they need to move over and deal with this. Zuki actually goes in for the hook shot, misses out onto Jacob, actually looks to catch onto the tank. Kira comes through the barrels. Penta gets a massive shield off and takes out Jinaxis already. Jacob has to keep Zuki off him. He's trying to turn it back around as he does get some difference out there. Kira trades out. It's jungler for support once again, but your jungler is down and Dragon is spawning soon. This could just be Ocean Soul over to the side of Viperio.
It's actually 2 for 1 as well. Both supports went down and the jungler for Bulldog. This is going to be the dragon taken, no contest, and this is where it starts to feel really rough. This is where you start to think, can we take this game? I mean, you already see Zuki dive into the backline, feeling extremely difficult to kill. That's just been amplified. And at this point, they can go over to that Baron, they can start it up. If they get challenged, they back off, they heal up. They can just keep repeating that. They'll actually, if Sykes is tanking the Baron, he will just out-heal the damage it applies to him. Very hard now for Bulldog. Worst case scenario, it's the worst soul for the enemy team to get, especially when they have bruiser members, tankier members like the Set, like the Ornn, like the Camille. It's a rough position to be in.
Definitely is. Kira's gone back to base, started to build towards what would most likely be either the Essence Reaver or the Infinity Edge. He's got the Warhammer and a stopwatch to work with, along with Asterix. The ornaments are starting to come through as well, which is making this even harder to kind of match these item spikes. Jacob has now picked up his Death's Dances. Baron has been started up and no one is checking it. There's no cannon barrage. They will finally scry it out, but it's just too little. It's too late. That's Baron Nashor and Ocean Soul.
Yeah, and now given the item upgrade, Johnny Recco as well, he's just picked up the Zhonya's. Ornaments for everyone apart from the support. Ocean Soul in their pocket. A massive, just under 10,000 gold lead. 5 towers to 0 now, a Baron buff. This is as good as it gets for Viperio. This should be a 1-1 in this series unless they make a massive mistake. They need to massively overstep, take several tower hits, potentially a Nexus turret dive, if they want to throw away this sort of lead. So, backs against the walls for Bulldog.
Very much aware of that. The Spooky Ghosts are being sent out now, and they look for the flag and drag. They're going to try and take the tank out with the CC. He just uses the Zhonya's, and a great knockback comes through, but in comes the Call of the Forge God into a 2-man knockup. The cannon barrage is on there, and the AD carry is already down. Hi-Am Jacob's the one who's going to be able to take himself falling as they get a Cataclysm onto 2, but Kira is too low. Thomas just has to run to the winds, and a triple kill is picked up by Kaz.
And it's once again seen the right play. They find a pick on the Ornn. He's just too tanky. He has the healing from the Ocean Soul. He doesn't go down in time. And the response comes in from Viperio. It's now Thomas Go and Girish on this Morgana Syndra to try and defend. But the end's going to look to come in here from Viperio. I'm not sure they can do much.
Yeah, there's the hook shot. There's no Scatter Weak. He's caught inside. He's going down. Girish can do nothing but watch as we go to game 3 in this series. Viperio, they did not want to go down lying. They came out fighting. It's one apiece.
Solid performance from them. A better draft and clearly given something to Zuki where he can be the aggressor in the matchup. They got him that early lead and he just ran away from it. Typically, Kara has been a weak side player and they've looked for an opportunity to punish that, and it really paid off. And now we're 1-1 in the series. Momentum is in favor of Viperio, and if they win this next game, that is it. They were in the UKLC, and Bulldog has to say goodbye.
And I asked you the question last time, but what needs to change going into this game? They invested heavily into Hi-Am Jacob on the Jinx Lulu. This time, it wasn't quite the same case. Top lane was getting hard camped, and the Civet just never came online. What do they need to change?
I mean, I think having better adaptation to what your opponents have sort of given up to you. I think the early skirmishing was a little bit rough. I think the overforce from Jinxus didn't really favor them. He was just kind of trying to rush ganks in the top lane, and it's ended up actually backfiring massively. They clearly saw the Camille as a concern. So maybe in this situation, you lose this game, you go red side. If you're concerned so much about this Camille being an issue in the top lane, go red side, make sure you have the counter pick. A lot of picks are being left open, so it's not like you're going to end up missing out on some high priority pick because we're seeing consistent champions being left open. So it's not like enemy team's going to get first pick Syndra and you get nothing. You'll likely be able to pick up, like we saw Viperio do, the set and the Ornn. And I think go red side, get yourself a favorable match up top because that was a big issue. And then look to draft maybe a better bot lane that's going to enable you a bit more. Because I think the problem with the Civet was quite short range in that composition. I think although Caitlyn isn't really stably in the meta, you can still get a ton of pressure from Caitlyn Morg. Or just, I mean, there's a lot of variations you could do, but ultimately, clearly the top lane was a massive issue in that situation.
Yeah, it definitely was. Now, obviously, there's still more to play for. There's still one more game to go, but at this point, it's not a best of 3. It's just a best of 1. One more Nexus exploding will decide whether or not you are in or out of the UKLC. It's all to play for after the break, so we will see you shortly.